Somebody managed to find a way to breach the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, one of their reactors, either by blowing a hole through it or melting it down. Now what? Well, given that five of the six reactors are in cold shutdown, and there's only one in warm shutdown, which would be the likely one that someone would want to target, whomever that someone is. There would not be this vast exclusion zone, radiation being spewed out as far as Chernobyl spewed it out, because Chernobyl was running hot. They had locked down all the safety features, disabling them for their stupid experiments, and were just put the pedal to the metal on the reactor, and just it just blew, and it blew stuff everywhere, and it kept blowing, and stuff kept on being released for like days and days and days because of the fires and whatnot. So this situation would be different. It would be subdued. Even if you manage to blow holes through the roof using explosive charges or fire a whole bunch of missiles at one spot to drill a hole through, or just simply shut off the power and let the whole thing melt down as there's no more power to put water through the cooling system that cooled out the last warm shutdown reactor. It would be a very limited, comparatively, release. I was reading an article in the Kiev Independent just a bit earlier where they're interviewing a nuclear engineer who said basically the contamination would be 40 to 50 kilometers around. Well, still, that's 40 to 50 kilometers. That's a large area. It'd be, for you Americans, it'd be about a 30-mile radius area. That part of that's on the Russian held area, so it'd be killing Russian soldiers and Russian ethnic Russians that live in there. And on the other part would be on the Ukrainian side of the river, and of course that would be killing Ukrainians and whatnot. So a lot of people, some people are going to die. Maybe not as many as Chernobyl, but you could have a few dozen people die. You could have other people having all sorts, having radiation sickness. People down the line getting cancer and whatnot. But I think the greatest part of that disaster, even though the area is small initially, is it's right on the riverbed. This stuff is going to get into the river and flow the Dnieper River and flow all the way down and end up in the Black Sea, contaminating the Black Sea. This is hugely catastrophic environmentally. It'll contaminate farmland because water is used for irrigation. The Black Sea will contaminate the fishing areas and whatnots and spread to who knows what and who knows where. So, I mean, ecologically, it'd be a horrible disaster. And so, it'd be a lot of cleanup efforts. There'd be a strain on the medical system. There'd be a lot of panic, disruption to the, what's left of the economy in this area. Yeah, it would be bad all around. Of course, the politically, so what would happen? Well, uh, you know, Russia would be blamed for it. It's pretty well a given at this point. That may alienate some of their allies and friends like China and India. I don't know how much, who knows, but it can't help but hurt. And certainly the neutral fence sitters in the global South, they decide, no, not so. It'll drive any other country nearby that wants to join NATO or ask to join NATO. It would give NATO a lot of justification and probably be a lot of pressure, especially coming into an election year like it is the United States is, to send boots on the ground in the Ukraine, to send NATO forces in there. To put a no-fly zone, start flying combat missions, from NATO air bases against Russian positions and even targets inside of Russia itself. That can really escalate because then the Russians will basically send cruise missiles and other strikes to take out the air bases. The troops will be fighting one another. One side starts losing, the temptation to use a tactical nuke will be very great. If things start escalating and people are bombing each other's air bases, including bombing ones that have dual purpose planes that can carry both conventional and nuclear weapons. Uh, One side may say, hey, we got to show these people are serious. They can't destroy our strategic resources. So we're going to fire a tactical nuke, sort of the escalate to de escalate. Of course, if one side does a tactical nuke, then somebody else, oh, well, we can't just let them get away with that. We're going to launch attacks against their nuclear facilities conventionally, but we may also use a tactical nuke or two. But even if there's this attack conventionally, say Russia's facilities there, where there are missile bases, air bases, and whatnot, the Russians may feel, hey, they're eroding our strategic nuclear capability, our intermediate and short range nuclear capability. We better use them or lose them. And then the whole thing can then escalate to a full bore nuclear war. I looked at that scenario of, starting with single tactical weapon being set off in the Ukraine to a full bore thermonuclear war in my escalate to de-escalate video where we're using the nuclear war simulator to simulate that, and it's pretty scary. So yeah, I can point you to that as to how that thing can really spiral out of control to a global nuclear war. And also you can look at the initial video I did about how hard it would be to actually breach a nuclear reactor, and using the various techniques you could. So you can look at both of those videos. And thank you, and bye for now.